So a man comes through with 11 others and he says, "Hi, my name's Jeremy Freeman. Your daughter has West syndrome.
Yeah.
There's a 10% chance she'll die in hospital. There's an 80% chance she'll have brain damage for life. There's a 10% chance she's okay."
Hamish McLachlan, I want to just preface this by saying at the end of each season, we love to have someone on that has really shaped my life. Now, when I reached out to you and asked if you'd be happy to come on the podcast because you are someone who's really shaped my life, did you expect me to say that, or did you realise how much of a positive impact you've had on my life so far?
I think we've both had positive impacts on each other's lives. So when you said it, I wasn't surprised. But I was trying to think on the way here today. I started looking through photos last night of when we first met. And the first photograph that I found was you and I and my wife, Soph, in a Captain Courageous T-shirt. So that's Jess and Jeff Bond's child who has bone marrow failure.
Angus.
And you at that stage, I think, would have been early 20s, I reckon pre-captaincy. But even back then, you were always helping, saying yes, giving more. So you've always done a lot for me, and I think we've been good for each other. So when you said what you said in the text, it's like, great, yeah, when? It's like tomorrow.
Well, you are a busy man, so it wasn't quite tomorrow, but you are a great friend. You've been an amazing mentor. You even emceed Brooks and my wedding.
Great day, great night.
Every time I think about that, I just remember your giggle after you handed it over to my dad to do his speech. Do you remember what he said?
No.
He said, "Someone told me that this should go for as long as you can make love for, so this won't take very long," which should be a couple of seconds. Anyway, that's just, I think that speaks volumes to my dad, but also the way you reacted and handled the situation speaks volumes to your strengths. But you are a boy from Adelaide, grew up with mum and dad, Angus and Sylvia.
Yep.
3 other brothers.
So I was the second of 4. Mum and dad, mum was Victorian, dad South Australian. We grew up in a tiny town called Mount Pleasant, 260 people.
Was it pleasant?
It was, yeah, it's pretty well named. So Gil and I, he and I were 2 years apart. Then there was a 4-year gap to Banjo, and then a big gap to Will, who we call the accident. But he's a nice accident. But yes, we grew up on a farm. When it was light, you'd go and work. When it was dark, you'd come inside. Honesty, integrity, hard work, values were sort of how we grew up. And to think that Gil and I would end up in football, which we loved, and Banjo, who's very clever, he's a barrister, and Will's now back on the farm. It's funny how all these journeys take off and where they go, what they cross over on. You and I were looking at a photo just before this podcast started of me asking the captain of the Richmond Football Club to come up and get a Premiership Cup. It's like, you and I had met in 08. It's like, it didn't look like you were going to end up as a Premiership captain.
Ever.
And I was just starting, the first time I was ever on air was 08. You and I sort of started our journeys, football and media together.
Well, I think that's when we probably first met. And I remember there would often be an encounter going into the basement of the MCG car park.
Yeah.
You'd be walking in to start the broadcasting. I'd be finding a park, and you would always make comment on Brooke and when she was going to be there. And initially for me, I was kind of like, it's just so weird that Haim always just like, that's his way of engaging with me. But what I have learnt, and when people ask me what Hamish McLachlan's like, the first thing that I say is he has this innate ability, and I don't think many people possess it, to be, doesn't matter how many people are in a room, if he's having a conversation with you, you genuinely feel like you're the most important person in your world. And I think it's an amazing trait and something that I try to emulate when I'm having conversations now because of the way that I've seen you go about your business. But has that been something that was always something you did? You made people feel like they were the most important and good about themselves? Because I know every conversation I have with you, whether it's serious or not, I walk away feeling taller and better and more confident in my own abilities, but also what I'm working towards. Has that always been something that's part of your makeup, or is it something you've learned to be really brilliant at as you've got older?
Well, it's nice that that's how you feel. I mean, it's a nice trait to have. and I'm glad you feel that. I guess it's a bit of both. Probably somewhere along the line you made someone feel good or feel better, or someone made you feel better and you thought, that's nice. And then it becomes a little bit addictive. And I guess you need to balance that between always trying to make others feel better and forgetting about yourself, which can become tiring and exhausting if you're always trying to do that. But I think I love seeing people happy, whether it's Soph, my wife, or Miller or Indy or Lex. And I love being in positive environments. The rules sort of in our house are pretty simple. Be kind, be curious, be positive. And if you can do that, I think people naturally find a happy spot and a safe spot. Maybe also, I was at boarding school and you see people who aren't made to feel great. Australia's got an amazing ability to knock people over, knock people down, tall poppy. When we were growing up in the boarding house, if you were slightly alternative, you and I have joked about, I think I'm the same age as you. We're not. You born in 90? I'm 75. Yeah. So it's like, okay. I remember us talking about Ferris Bueller. You said, who's Ferris Bueller? It's like, what do you mean, who's Ferris Bueller? Like the movie came out in the mid-'80s and you were born.
I did go and watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good movie.
But the point of all that was I've seen how people can be made to feel terrible. And it's like, how do we get there?
Yeah.
So naturally, I love people feeling good. But I also am naturally, I think, very interested in people because if you're reading, you're learning. If you're listening, you're learning. And I just love hearing people's stories. So whether or not it's deliberate or not, I hope that I can make people feel comfortable and feel safe. Like a lot of the stuff that I do now is also question asking. Yeah. So with Unfiltered, for example, which is the show that Chris Jones has got me doing at 7. I love it. It's this really. Mm. So an hour with you or an hour with Craig McRae or an hour with Justin Kazitsky, it's like, what an amazing privilege to talk and listen and learn. And my kids, I continue to say to them, when you meet someone, ask 3 questions.
Is there a specific 3 questions or?
Not specific 3 questions, but at the end of 3 questions, I bet you get a 4th or a 5th or a 6th.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're engaged. But if the question asking isn't there, then it sort of doesn't really go anywhere. And so Lex, who he's 8, turning 9 in April. So he and I were in a little town when we were away last year in the mountains, and there were a lot of ski shops, snow shops in Verbia. And he said, I love collecting stickers. It's like all these shops will have stickers. They give them away to put on you. He said, how would we get them? I said, just be polite, go in, ask. After you've asked them a few questions, he said, what would I say? I said, go in, hi, my name's Lex McLachlan. How's your day going? It's like, good, thanks, Lex. How's your day? Really good, thanks. We were skiing this morning. Can I ask you an odd question? It's like, yeah. Would you have any stickers here that I could put on my boards? Sure, Lex, sure. Anyway, so the first shop was a success. So he said, Dad, that was incredible. I said, why do you think you ended up with these stickers? You were kind and you were warm and you asked questions. And he said, can we do it again? 37 shops later, he had a bag full of stickers. But it's just such a simple example of care and empathy and inquisitiveness and manners. I was with a mate the other day and I was talking over the fence at the SCG. And his son said, hey, Warner, photograph? I said, hey. No, Chad, no. And I said, if you were asked like that,
how would you react?
How would you react? For starters, it's not, excuse me, Chad, first name. Do you have any time to? Or my name is, and it's it's funny. Dad was always huge on manners.
Yeah.
So it's a long-winded answer to your question, but I love. How many interactions do we have a day?
A lot.
So the barista, what's the barista's name? How has her day been or his day been? I think Dennis Committee years ago said to me, I said, I've got to get out to the airport. He said, Raj, my driver, I've had him for 20 years. And Dennis was just winding up. He said, you should get to know Raj. Raj now stays at a house if he's knackered down at the farm. But it's like, and then Tebow, who was the local barista at the coffee shop where we were staying, the kids would go and help him behind the coffee shop, clean up cups. Like these days are great because of this immersion, or they can be less than that, but it's your choice.
Yeah.
I say to the kids, I said, if you're in a lift in the hotel, say hello and ask a question. It's like, we don't know them. You don't know them until you've asked a question and introduced yourself. And suddenly these great adventures happen. You know, a mate of mine years ago said, there's no strangers out there, just friends you haven't met yet. It's like if you take that approach, life becomes much more fun.
And you do have an amazing network, and I assume it's because you have had that attitude through a long period of time now. Do you attribute it to just being curious and asking questions or introducing yourself? Yeah.
I think.
Like if there's someone that I would love to be put in touch with, the first person I'll text or call is you saying, hey, you wouldn't happen to have so-and-so's number.
Yeah.
And you do live by it because really recently you were in a small town south of Sydney called Berry.
Yeah.
You went into a cafe and all of a sudden I got a photo of the barista who I know because he's close friends of my brother-in-law. And I'm like, so I'm hearing you say this and it's not like you're just saying it because that sounds great. You genuinely live it.
Well, I hope so. The reality is it's not sort of a network to be networked. It's like the world has got almost 9 billion people in it, and everyone you meet has got an incredible story, and we can all help each other. It was funny. So I'm doing a renovation at the moment, and this great team are working on it. And you can either have this really fun journey together, or it can be slightly removed. But it's like, if I'm going to do this, I want to be working with people who are great people. So Scott Richardson is this builder who's got this incredible team. And over the last few months, whether it's Hutch, who is one of the most unbelievable carpenters, or Bowlesy, who he and Hutch do everything together. And then they bring in the tiler called Alum, who's a great fisherman, doesn't speak incredible English. But all the time, all he's doing is putting grout down on his hands and knees and then just tiling. Yeah. And we were talking about Gout. He's going to be the fastest man in the world in a minute. So Alum's nickname now is Grout. and Alum had no idea that I called football, was on TV, did anything. And I said, I've got to quickly go and do the sunrise cross yesterday morning. And Shervo starts talking about, I said, I want to speak to you because Shervo, obviously being the fastest man in Australia at the time, I want to ask you about Gout at the end of the Carlton Hawthorn preview. I said, no worries. So we're talking about it. And I mentioned Alum on TV. I said to Emma Francis, who's in charge of publicity, can you grab me that clip? And I said to Alum, hey, Grout, you're now famous. His whole face lights up. Yeah. And for him, that's a great moment. There's that saying, I think it's, you may not be able to change the world, but you can change someone's day. Yeah.
And in turn, they might go and change someone else's day.
It's so easy. Yeah. And I keep saying to the kids, just try and make someone's day better. And if they're always trying to do that and people are trying to do it to you, well, how nice is that? I find people's stories fascinating. And you're the same. You're an inquisitive guy. But I mean, Bruce, I think, is the master of being interested. Yeah. I tell a story about
Bruce McAvaney.
Yeah, sorry, Bruce McAvaney. So,
who is a hero of yours?
I grew up idolising Bruce. And they say never meet your heroes because they'll always let you down. I grew up idolising Bruce, and then when I got given that show Game Day, which is probably how we met, I said to Channel 7, could I just meet Bruce before I go on and ask him a few questions as to how? And he went from sort of hero to legend as a result of just having some minutes with him. And over the next, that was 2008, so what's that, almost 20 years, we've continued to chat. But every time you see him, how's Soph?
Yeah, remembers
is she
every
enjoying the skiing? Miller must be 12 now. It's like, she is 12, yeah. And Lex playing any footy, like, but it's not just a throwaway, how's the family? Yeah. It's a specific, and he was, when Miller got sick, and I'm sure we'll speak about that. So when Miller was 8 months old, I was doing the Australian Open, and back then he was doing the Australian Open as well before he gave the tennis away. And it became very clear to everyone at the tennis that I had had a child that was sick, so I took a couple of nights off. And the way he cared for me, and sometimes it was what he didn't say, but it was just a touch, arm around the shoulder. It's like, let me know. And that's all he would say. Yep. But what I knew he meant by that was, if there is anything in the world you need, at any time, you just call me. And that's the beauty of people, I think, is that, you know, the really sort of emotionally intelligent people can do so much with so little.
Yeah. we may as well go there because I know how much family plays a huge role in your life. You light up about a lot of things, but talking about your family, particularly your wife, Soph, who's just a beautiful human being, and then your 3 kids. How did that change your life? I mean, it was a challenging journey. I think
we're an IVF journey.
So Miller, born IVF. I remember being in Bali.
Yeah.
We bumped into each other. The only reason that happened was because Soph had not a complication, but
she had a complication.
She felt something, right?
Well, she was bleeding, and so we were when we met, and Soph and I went on the IVF journey, and this is a bit like, are we going to talk about this? And Soph said, does it need to become public? It's like, it's up to you.
Yeah. And
this is a bit of where we are now versus where we all were then. So this is. Miller was born in 12. I think we were married in March 10, and we started the IVF journey pretty much straight away because Soph had a car crash. Someone had hit her at 100. She was doing 100, and they said, it's unlikely you'll be able to have kids naturally. Yeah. So we went down the IVF journey quickly and met an extraordinary woman called Lynn Burmeister, and she said, you're about 3% chance of getting pregnant naturally because your reproductive system is just sort of shut down to save your life back then. Mm. So let's get your body going again. And we'll go through this IVF journey. And we went through this process, and I think it was about 18 months of pills and injections and pessaries every day. And the journey is lumpy.
Yeah.
It's emotionally exhausting. And I remember Mum, because Soph was working at the time and she was trying to stay really fit. And I remember Mum just said, I don't want to get involved. But she's been terrific with horses for a long time. She said a stressed horse won't get pregnant and a really fit horse struggles to get pregnant. Just relax. And we went through the process, and Soph took Mum's advice, and first egg didn't work out, had to have an operation, second egg didn't work out. And on about the 10th day, you go in and have some bloods, and they then ring you. And you're just waiting by the phone. It's the worst call if it's not a good call.
Yeah.
And they say, is that Sophie McLachlan? Yes. What is your birth date? 24th of the 10th, 74. I'm really sorry to tell you that you're not pregnant. It's like tears. So, okay, so you then go through the build up, another egg. And Soph and I said for the next one, the call's coming. We're either going to dinner to celebrate or going to dinner and a movie to commiserate. Is that Sophie? Yes. What's your birth date? I'm sorry. It's like, okay. Third egg, final egg of the batch. It's like, okay. And we'd sort of got to a point where it's like, what's your birth date? And it was a Scottish lady. She was, Sophie, I'm so excited to do. So that was Miller. And then so we had a friend's wedding in Bali, a guy called Matty Banks, who we spent some time with in Europe. And we go to his wedding, and Soph had some complications, and we rang, and Lynn said, it should be okay, but just be careful. And then we went to Bali, and it continued to happen. We rang Lynn, and she said, it's not good. I've got to be honest with you, it's not good. You're probably 50-50 at best. It's like, okay. She said, what are you doing? I said, we're at a wedding. She said, can you just get a taxi to the wedding and sit quietly? And it's like, yeah. So we go to the wedding and we walk in after it was an hour out of the main sort of township. And I was sitting there talking to someone. And I sort of looked around, I couldn't find Soph. And after about 10 minutes, I could see her standing, crying on these steps about 50 metres away. I said, just excuse me. I went over, I said, okay. And this lady came who spoke English and said, what's happening? She said, okay, let me organise an ambulance. Let me organise all this for you. And if it was just us with the locals, we wouldn't have really known what to do. This lady just completely takes control. We end up in an ambulance going through all those tiny streets at like 100, people on bikes flying into rivers. And it's like, and I said, holding Soph's hand in the ambulance thinking, look at this. We get in there and we go through the tests, and the doctor says, you're going to have termination.
Oh, it's like,
there is no way that's happening. We're at the third egg here, and finally we're a chance. He goes, that's your option. I said, there has to be another option. And Soph's in the other room at this point. I said, there's got to be another option. He said, well, you're going to have to bed, because what's happened is the egg has sort of come away and there's a bit of a rupture, and you're going to lose the egg until things grow around the egg and can stabilise. It's like, okay, so what's the option? He said, it's like bed rest for weeks. It's like, perfect.
Yeah.
We're in Bali. I'm inherently lazy. Soph likes lying around. Like, yes, tell her that that's the option, but don't talk about the termination.
Yeah.
So he goes and he said, good news. Yeah, he's going to have to lie around for a long time. So we extended this trip, and then you and I ran into each other. It's like, what are you doing here? He said, oh, we're here on a holiday. And it's like, what did you do today? It's like, oh, well, this is when I knew, it's like, this kid is extraordinary. Not trying to be patronising with the kid, but you were young at that time. So I've just been volunteering in a village in the mountains. I was looking at Soph going, oh my God. It's like, okay, this is a special guy. And then you said, why are you here? It's like, we're here because, we need to lay low for a while. So we spent this time together. So that was Miller, and that was at 8 weeks. At 8 months, emergency C-section, because Soph had a complication with some preeclampsia. It's like, oh my God, we're here. We've got this child. So 8 weeks, terrifying. 8 months, baby. And then 8 months, the story I've told, but Miller started having seizures.
I remember seeing you. You spoke about how she would have these seizures, and the only thing that would kind of bring her back was taking her out the back of your place in South Yarra and engaging her with the leaves on the wall. Yeah,
well,
or was that when you realised that she kind of wasn't with?
I think that's when. So she, her, she's so alert, so aware, and she was always like as a child. And Soph just rang and said, there is something wrong with Miller. She sort of twitches 8, 9, 10 times, and then it's like you've pulled the power out, and I can't get anything from her for a while. It's like, really? And I was doing the tennis at the time, and Soph was with her mother up in northern New South Wales, and it's like, okay. And Soph's got great instincts, and she said, I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to come and see our paediatrician. We went and saw Liz Hallam, and Soph's clever, so she'd videoed what Miller was doing. And I could just see Liz's face. It's like, that's not a good look. And she said, just go to Royal Children's, go straight to the emergency department. Someone will be waiting from neurology. It's like,
that sounds serious.
Right. Okay, what is it? She goes, just go. All right, here we go. I was driving out thinking I wasn't going to cry today.
That's okay.
So we get to the emergency department, and a junior fellow walks out, and she says, you're Hamish and Sophie? Yep. This is Miller. Come with me. She said, the head of neurology and 11 others are upstairs. We're about to monitor Miller for a couple of hours. They put 37 electrodes on her head and don't really say anything. It's like, is there anything we need to know? They said, we'll see you in a few hours. They're 2 hours you don't want back. So we're sitting there talking, and it's amazing in a crisis how you come together. So Soph and I just sort of holding hands saying, I'm not sure what's happening here. So after a couple of hours, and he denies he says this, but I'll never forget it. He said, was I that crass? It's like, you weren't crass, you was blunt. So a man comes through with 11 others, and he says, hi, my name's Jeremy Freeman. Your daughter has West syndrome.
Yeah.
There's a 10% chance she'll die in hospital. There's an 80% chance she'll have brain damage for life. There's a 10% chance she's okay. So, all right.
How do you react in that moment? Do you just freeze?
You sort of...
Or do you know that you need to kind of be there for Soph?
Well, it's amazing what happens when you're in that situation. So I look at it now and I start tearing up and thinking, how do you get through it? But when you're in it, when you're in the eye of the storm,
yeah,
it's like, well, you know what they say, when you're in hell, keep on walking.
Yeah, got the 10%, and that's what I'm focusing
on. Well, there's 10% chance.
Yeah.
So let's go, let's focus on that. Let's focus on the right 10% too. I said, so what happens here? He said, well, you can pray. I tend to find it doesn't work so well. Or you can pray, and we can go down this route where we give her 4 mils of prednisolone 4 times a day. And she'll either, within 6 days, have not made it, or she'll still be having seizures, and sadly, I don't think they'll ever stop, and she may not progress past now.
Yeah, from a developmental point of view. Yep.
Or she will have, and you'll be okay. So, right. He said, drama is it's got to be 4 mils orally. After we've given her the first 4 mils, you won't be able to open her mouth again. She'll hate it. You'll have to have someone open up her mouth.
Yeah.
And then she'll scream so much that within 24, 48 hours, she'll have lost her voice back. So there'll be no sound. And after about 15, 16 days, you won't recognize her. She'll be so swollen, and her appetite will become so aggressive. She'll be eating as much as you, and her body weight will be 50% more than today. It's like, okay, I don't care about any of that. I just need her to stop having seizures.
Yep.
He said 6 days. Needs to stop in 6 days. First day, it's like 5 sets of seizures, and it's like, okay. And it was 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, with the 4 mils 4 times.
Yeah.
We did a family call, and Gillen, who's amazing in a crisis, said, I'll do 7 every day. I'll be there at 7 every day. So next day, day 2, seizures. Day 3, seizures. Day 4, Gil comes in. He says, today's the day. Today's the day. Won't happen today. So I said, okay. So Gil's got Miller on his arms in the couch at Park Place, where you've been to. I go and get 4 mils organised, and I walk back, and Gillen's just crying with Miller having seizures in his arms.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, really? And he said something like, how can something so innocent be so compromised, you know? So day 5, seizures. So we get to day 6, like, this is actually happening, isn't it? Like, we're down to this. So 7 o'clock, no one says anything. 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's like, put Miller to bed. I said to myself, don't say anything. We know we've got to do 31 days of this pregnancy line. We know we're seeing Jeremy on the 14th day. Day 7, no seizures. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We go and see Jeremy again. He said, how are we going here? Because we'd told him, obviously, to stop. It's like, you tell us, 37 electrodes, the ECG scan. So when the brain pattern should just be doing that. But when West syndrome is either brain cancer, brain tumour, or brain lesion, 2/3 of cases. 1/3 of cases, none of that.
Yeah.
But it's the same outcome. So the brain pattern should be doing that when we first got to him. So the HD 4K clear screen had become snow. Day 14 comes back and he goes, we're back to HD. I was like, great. He goes, keep going with the pregnancy line until day 31. I'll see you in 3 months. It's like, what else do we need to do? He goes, I'll see you in 3 months. It's like, okay. So 31 days stop, 3 months go back, and the ECG, it's like, please.
What is that like?
It's like
effectively life and death, or life changes or doesn't change, right?
Well, yeah, you summed it up perfect. It's like, so there was, I remember, so Sophie is right where you are and I'm here. Sophie has Miller on her lap with all of the cords going somewhere. And there is a desk there and there's a lady with a screen monitoring it. It's like, can you give us any indication? And I remember behind her was a window.
Yeah.
I could see a little bit on the window, but I couldn't work out
who it was. What
is it that, or is it?
Oh, so the screen you
reflection.
Don't see. Yeah, gotcha.
So I'm sort of looking at. I don't want to say to Soph that I'm doing it. I'm trying to get an indication. It's like, anyway, 2 hours go. She turns off the meeting. She goes, "Someone will be with you soon." And you know when you can hear a clock?
Yeah.
It's like tick, tick. And it wasn't going tick, tick. It was going tick. Tick. Every minute was like an hour. Every hour was like a month. Jeremy comes in. He says, "Flying." It's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Couldn't be better." It's like, "So what happens now?" He said, "You come and see me in 3 months." There's been a case in the US that, I just want to see you at 6 months.
Yep.
So we go and live, but every time I look at me, it's like, is that? And then 6 months, we go and see Jeremy in his rooms. and Miller had stolen a highlighter from the front desk. And we're waiting for Jeremy, who's just the most beautiful human. He says, "Soph, home, come in." So we go in. And he said, Where'd you get that highlighter? I said, "Miller stole it from the front desk. He's a little kleptomaniac." So, okay. He said, "I'm just going to do some cognitive tests. I won't put the ECG scan on it." So he's doing these tests, hiding things, changing lids, and whatever he was doing, he knew what he was doing. It's like, and after about 6 minutes, he says, "You've got a miracle." So, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've just done all these cognitive tests. And at this stage, 6 months, she was 14 months. He said, she's like 2 or 3 years old. We're always with these outcomes. There's super normal development, abnormal development. You're always sort of somewhere here." He goes, "She's here somewhere." Like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It makes no sense. None of it makes any sense." It's like, "So what happens now?" He said, "You'll never see me again." It's like, "Never see you again?"
Yeah.
"You're like my hero. I have a poster of you on my wall." I said, "What are we doing?" He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, that's it. No more medicine." No, it's like, right. "So what are you and I doing?" He goes, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "Let's go to the footy. Let's do something." So he and I continue to chat and exchange things. It's like, he's a Collingwood man. It's like, come on, let's go. When we're overseas, yeah. You send him something, she'll win. You send him a photo and say, "Here's your girl,
Yeah.
And he said, "Keep me updated." She's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's so nice to share that with him because he gets bad outcomes.
Oh, always.
It's funny timing. So I did, you did it with me. I had, after Spud's funeral, I wanted to do that show called Last Time I Cried. And I said to you, "Would you do it with me?" He said, "Yeah." And I did one that day that you came in, because it was you and Alex Johnson did the first two, and Alex Johnson was a few hours before you, and he said, "What are we doing here?" I said, "I'm going to ask you the last time you cried and you'll tell me." He said, "What would you say?" And I said, "Well, ask me." I told that story about Miller. And then we ended up having to post it because we had something happened with one of the episodes, and it was in COVID. We couldn't film it again. And as a result of that, what's happened is all these people from around the world have reached out saying, "My daughter or my son has been diagnosed. Can we speak?"
Yeah.
And we do. And there's some... And last night, I got a photo from a family whose child has made,
Yeah.
She was a Miller outcome last night, and she's in this ice hockey jersey playing ice hockey.
Yeah.
It's like she is like Miller. And there's been so many stories that didn't get there.
Yeah.
And every time I see Miller, it's like, just for a second, it's like, you're such a miracle.
Yeah. Well, for more reasons than just what you guys went through. I mean, all three.
How lucky are we,
I remember bumping into them at the airport one day randomly. Didn't know they were in there. And I think I texted you straight after it, a photo of us all. And I just said, "You genuinely have the most amazing family. They're beautiful. They are kind. They do ask questions. They're respectful. And it's a credit to you and Soph in the way that you've brought them up in the world." But how has...
But just on that, so they went around they love the hot chocolates around the corner. And I said to Soph, "They've been a while." About 13 minutes later, I go, and you're just sitting with the three of them just chatting. It's like, of course he's there. But it's like, I love the fact that they are, and a bit of that, it's like, they're just interested in people.
Yeah.
And yet you see so many families traveling and the parents are on the phone and the kids are all on the phone. It's like, that's not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I walk around the corner and you have got the three kids all engaged in whatever it was. I can't remember whether you were doing something with the Lions or whether you're doing something with the Top, wherever you were going. But it's like, right, okay, now my kids are mates with my mates. That's good.
That is very cool. You went on an amazing trip last year with the family, and I think that was a combination of something you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Your kids are brilliant skiers, snow skiers, particularly Miller, all of them.
Well, the two girls race. Miller's pretty quick. Indy's getting faster and faster and did really well the other day. And Lex is a cruisy dude. Like, he doesn't race.
That's cool.
I'm going freestyle. Right, okay. So you're going through the trees, they'll go fast.
What was that experience like? It's obviously, we've had many conversations about it. It's something that I would love to do with the family. And you sent me a podcast around dying with zero. And everyone's in different positions financially. They've done well from a business point of view. They may come from a wealthy family. But that podcast was all about the fact that you literally can't take anything with you when it's all said and done. And
Did you like it?
I did love it. And I sit in this space often going, I want to create the best possible life I can for my family and the people around us that we love. But you spend so much time worrying about that you actually do miss, or you can miss, a lot of the beautiful moments.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you guys? Like, what was your number one favorite thing out of living overseas in some amazing places for over a year?
Time. Lex would say to me, what are we doing tomorrow? It's like, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to go fishing. It's like, okay. Where are we going? Let's work it out. So you would sit, go, okay, so there's a point there that looks okay, there's a point there that looks okay. Come in the morning when you're ready. So 6 o'clock, tap. Go down to the local tackle shop, not open. He and I just sit under a tree for an hour and talk until it opened. Walk in. It's like, what bait do you want? Want lures? And he knows because he does all the research. He's obsessive. And I said, you deal with the man. So he would just be talking, chatting away. The guy broken English, Lex broken French. It's like, I love this. Then you would go and find the spot that Lex had chosen. You'd sit there for 10 hours. And at the end of it, caught a fish or not. The first day we went, he caught a fish. I'll show you this photo. The smile on his face. He said, I just can't believe I've caught my first ocean fish. He's caught fish in the dam. He said, you can't tell Mum. This is the best day of my life. So we go home. We have a pizza in the main street of Nice. He and I. There's a fish in the bucket next to us. He smiles, and then he falls asleep with a rod on him in the car with a fish in the bucket next to him. Put him to bed. And I say to Sophie, guess what Lex said? Best day of his life. But your question is, what was the best part of it? There were all these amazing moments. The Olympics were incredible in Paris, and the Tour de France, Jerry Ryan said, hand the water out in the car to the riders. It's like, great. Wimbledon, great mate of yours, knew that we were going to be there, and Ash said, take a couple of tickets.
Yeah.
Took a great mate for his 50th, and all those moments were great, but they were expected to be great. It was the moments that you didn't contemplate which were amazing. Like, this is a little thing, but we're a month into our time in Switzerland. We're in the local grocery shop. And if we go down to Balnarring, everyone wants to talk about the football. It's very flattering and very nice. They say, who do you think wins tonight? And I like all that, but I never actually realised that every time someone spoke to me and I engaged, it was interrupting the time or the chat that we were having. We're about a month in, and Miller said, you know the best thing about Verbier? I said, the race training, the skiing, being able to walk to school, sometimes you ski to school, all this stuff. She goes, no. She goes, we never get interrupted. It's like, wow, that's a big observation from an 11-year-old.
Would you have realised that without her having that realisation or bringing that realisation?
No. I mean, you would get whatever I experienced times by 50. So I'm not saying, but it was just an interesting observation because we've been living down on the coast in a small little community, which we all love. So everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
But if you go to grab some milk, you will see everyone you know. And as a result, if you and Miller are talking about X or Y, it gets broken. But Miller said, none of our conversations ever get interrupted. And I would go and watch her race somewhere. You'd be on a bus for an hour and a half going from where you were into Italy or into France. Like, this is ridiculous. But the other part of it was when you were there, it was just you and she, or me and Indy, or the three of us, or Soph and I and the two girls, because Lex wasn't racing. It's like, this is amazing. But there's four of us on the other side of the world, part of this little community where we've been dropped into it. And today it is only about us. And that so rarely happens. So, people say, what was it you loved? It's like uninterrupted time with the people I most love in my life. And the reason we did it at that time was fortuitous. One, it was Miller's last year of primary school, because once she starts secondary school, I've got a child in secondary school until 2034. So it's like, right, by then I'm 115. And by the time Lex has finished school, Miller's gone and done something else. And so it's like, it's now or never. And then we lost the rights to the Olympics at 7.
Yeah.
Christmas 2022, we get the phone call saying, you've lost the Olympics. Soph, being Soph, says, so we could travel that year, couldn't we? So I ring the team at 7 at the time, and they said, well, yeah, okay. I said, Soph, I think we can have the year. Like, I'll have to do a few flights, but let's do the year.
Yeah.
I think I said that like at lunchtime. By dinner,
Booked.
So this is where, this has got an international school, this has got an airport close by, this has got, it's like, righto, let's do this. And everyone said, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just too hard. And then I rang Gil, he's a very pragmatic, wise guy. I said, what do you think? He said, it's my greatest regret.
Yeah.
He said, I had 10 years long service leave, and I took 3 months, should have taken a year. And then I'd heard that Rob Sitch, who's just an incredibly brilliant mind, something happened in their house where it needed renovation. They were either going to rent locally, and he and his wife Jane said, let's just take 5 kids traveling. So they went for 7 months around the world. I rang him. I said, he said, yeah, a couple of things. One is we went for 7 months, not long enough.
Yeah, right.
You just get going. You just get into a rhythm. So he said, go for longer. I said, okay. He said, the other thing is they kept going, like from place to place to place. He said, stop somewhere and immerse yourself in the community, which we did. So we went to a local school, small town, got to know everyone, incredible. Local sports teams, all traveling together. And then we moved to the south of France in a tiny little town about half an hour above Nice and did exactly the same. So we stopped twice, and you got to know, the people behind the counter in the coffee shop, and you got to know, and that was incredible. And I wouldn't have done it without Gillen and Rob both saying, go and do it.
Yeah.
And I will say it to you, you've got to go and do it. If you can afford it time-wise, if you can afford it financially, there'll be a million reasons why
Not to do it.
Not to do it. Best year I've had personally, gave you time to reflect on everything, gave you a sense of what's important, gave you an opportunity to sort of get stuff out of your life that had somehow crept in that was
not helpful.
Not helpful. In whatever way that was, time wasting, acidic or toxic, or it's like, what is really important is Soph and Miller and Indy and Lex. And it was funny because Gil and I had a chat midway through the year, and it was a bit of a life shaper. It's like, we're not seeing enough of each other. Not because you're overseas. It's just like, what's happened in the last 15 years?
Yeah.
I was his best man. He's my best man. The 4 brothers are so tight. Banjo was Will's best man. Will was Banjo's best man. All grooms. It's like, we don't see each other anymore. We're so busy being busy.
Yeah.
So it was just this great, like, yeah, you're right. And just on the weekend gone, on Saturday, because Soph and the kids are still away, Gil said, just texted, what are you up to? I said, where are you? He said, I'm watching Sid play cricket. I said, where? Oval number 6, Caulfield. I'll see you in 15 minutes. We sat and watched the cricket together.
Yeah.
The joy of sitting and watching.
How long? You wouldn't have done that since
ever.
Kids?
I've never watched his 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old. He's a year old. He's 13. Never watched him play a game of cricket.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. So we sat and watched. He said, now what are you doing? It's like, what are you going to do? Let's go and grab a sandwich. So go back to his house, have a sandwich. 4:30 rolls around, he had to go to a 50. It's like, that's the best 7 hours I've spent in a long time with my brother. And so simple.
Yeah.
Watch the cricket under a tree at Caulfield, grab a sandwich, and sit on the couch and talk. It's like, what else do you need? So Jerry Harvey Norman, married a brilliant woman called Katie. And I've done some fun things with them over the years with the Magic Millions. And we always play golf in the middle of the week of the Magic Millions. And I remember him saying to me a few years ago, he said, what are the things you love most in life?
Yep.
So, well, family and friends. Like, okay, next. I said, sport. He goes, be more specific. I said, golf, tennis, surfing. He goes, right, what else? I said, horses. He goes, okay, get rid of one. It's like, golf. He goes, okay, get rid of another one. So what do you mean? He goes, what do you keep something in your life until you're 80? It's like, well, friends and family are there forever. He goes, okay, so get rid of another one. Surfing, because, okay. So now you're left with a tennis racket and your friends and family and some horses.
Live a pretty good life.
Like, what else do you need? You really simplify it. It's like we all go searching for so much stuff. It's like, actually, you don't need much.
You spoke of time
Yeah.
as one of the greatest lessons or insights or things that you
There's
realised.
so little of it left.
Well, you shared a stat with me, and I don't know exactly, but I'm going to try.
Is this for the kids?
Yes. So up to 15 years old, you spend 90% of the time you will spend with your kids through their lifetime or your life, what's left of your lifetime. Is that the right stats?
What I read was, and I think I said this to you, 90% of the time you will spend with your children is by the end of their 16th year.
Yeah.
Thereafter, the 10% you spend with them is in such fleeting little moments. So then you break that down. It's like, that can't be true. But it's like, it's absolutely true, particularly so I grew up on the farm with mum and dad. You're there every night, every morning, every night. Then you go to boarding school. I went at 11 to boarding school.
Yeah.
So for dad, this statistic is worse.
Yeah.
I then moved to Melbourne at the end of university. He stayed in Adelaide. So if I see dad this year 6 times for 2 or 3 hours a time, it's like, that can't be possible.
Yeah.
So again, learning from last year, okay, so how many Adelaide games, because he's in Adelaide and my little brother Will is on the farm at an hour out of Adelaide. It's like, okay, how many Adelaide games have I got? So let's go over a day or two earlier. I'll go up to the farm, nights with Will. Dad, I'm going up to the farm, come up with me. Let's have a few days, call a game. Why am I rushing back? Let's have breakfast. Let's have lunch. Then I'll go back. So that's another lesson from the year. It's like, use the opportunities you have, these small little windows.
To maximise them.
So I got great. One of the regrets in my life is not spending more time with family and friends and spending too much time trying to be really good at whatever the job was.
Yeah.
So Nick, just on that. So
yes.
a few years ago, I had this conversation with a great mate called Nick Baggett and Dave Stock and Brad Govan and James. These guys I went to school with. We said, why are we not spending more time together? So it's like, because we're stupid, lazy, naive.
That's not just a you thing. It's the
everyone,
whole world, right?
Everyone. So every year for 3 days, we meet somewhere in Australia. Just have 3 days.
Yep.
And it's locked in the diary. And now, tech's easier. But it's like, it was yesterday, the day before, I sent a text to some guys saying, Thursday nights are my night. What game? Nick Baggett straight away. Carlton, Collingwood, 3 weeks' time, flight books. The other guys go, I'm booking flights. It's like, great. There's another moment.
You get to come together.
Yeah.
I'm going to go quick fire because you've
eaten up the time.
No. You've had an incredible journey, and there's the broadcasting, but then there's the business mind of Hame, there's the commerce degree. So a few quick fire ones that will get us through some answers, just to give people more of an understanding of how deep you are. What is the key to success?
Am I going to cry again here?
No. It's more scratch the surface stuff.
Okay.
What is the key to success in business?
People. Really, really good people. There's so many
Is that what you look at first and foremost if you're looking to invest in something now?
Yeah. Because there's so many brilliant products.
Yeah.
Brilliant ideas, but only the best bring them to life and are able to, because business is hard. Yeah, people, every time I've had any success in business, investing, it's always because there's so many brilliant people around the table.
How do you define success now at this stage of your life?
How happy my family is. If Sophie's happy and the kids are happy, I'm nailing my life. Because for me, I've always said this to you, there is my family, Sophie and the kids, mum, dad, Gil, Banj, Will, partners, nieces, nephews. And then there is this massive, and friends. And then there is this massive gap. And then everything else exists. It's just white noise in between.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the happiness of the family. How do you define happiness?
For me personally, I think happiness is just...
Is it time?
It's just wanting for nothing else.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit vague, but I'm most happy. You know me. I
think your best day, can I try and nail your best day?
I'll tell you exactly what I was going to say after you've given me what you think my best day is.
You're down the farm. Fire's going. You've cleaned up a little bit, maybe mowed the lawns.
The fire is what I've cleaned up.
Yeah, okay, so that's at the back part of the day. You might have had a few mates over to have a hit of tennis. You're out in the paddocks. You might be on the horses or brushing the horses with the kids. Soph's there as well. And then it's just some form of nice home-cooked meal where you sit around, no technology, with the fire, looking at your dam, talking about life.
So before you...
Did I miss something?
No.
Okay.
Before you spoke, my mind was, I'm lying by the fire next to the dam. The kids are sort of just lying around, talking, jumping off the deck, fishing with Soph, and people I like. It's like, for me, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of that goes back to Jerry Harvey a little bit, right? It's like, you don't need much.
Yeah.
But if you've got a family who is happy and then healthy, we've spoken about Miller, like a happy, healthy family, that's sort of it. You've been down to the farm. It's like
the best.
Give me the mower and a farm, and a fire. A mower and a fire. Like Soph said to me, he says, if you leave me, do you reckon you leave me for the mower? It's like Toro Groundmaster 7200, probably.
The one question we do like to finish on, and I'm conscious of keeping you for too long, I could sit here all day and talk to you.
But I got nothing to do.
If you could go back to your 16-year-old self and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think I'd probably say it's all going to work out.
Did you spend a lot of time worrying about that through the early stages of your life?
I think I still spend too much time.
I think we all do.
Yeah. Worrying if it's going to be all right. It's like, it will be all right.
Yeah.
And I've only probably in the last 10 years found that nothing's ever as good as it seems and nothing's ever as bad either. You know,
it's a good quote.
Brownlow goes well, doesn't matter. Brownlow goes badly, doesn't matter. Come second, doesn't matter. Win, doesn't matter. You know, it's just all the stuff that we get so preoccupied by. It's so relevant. And you come back to, I remember somebody said to me years ago, I said, will it matter in 5 years? Like, no, yes. So what are you worrying about? I heard David Schwartz this week talk about when he arrived at the football club. I can't remember the name of the player, but he said, the football club is this big. And he's sort of put a dot in the middle. He goes, that's how much you represent.
Yeah.
Make it a good dot, but you're a small part of it all. Yeah.
Don't get too
There's 9 billion people floating around and the world's been spinning for a long time.
Yeah.
We will go and no one will remember us in 100 years' time. So how do you make sure that the small runway that you have left is in some way, shape or form meaningful to you and those around you? I mean, Miller doesn't care. Indy doesn't care. Lex doesn't care. Soph doesn't care about any of the stuff that I'm occupied by.
Yeah.
They just want to hang out on the couch. You lose sight of all that, I think. So do you still worry too much about other people's perceptions?
I don't worry about what other people think so much. I worry about maybe my worry is not having enough.
Enough of what, though?
Well, it's funny because if you sit there, you go, I don't actually care about that. All I want is time.
Yep. And
I want to prioritize that. But I think you do sit there often going, oh, I need to have that so then I can be happy. And it's that not enoughness of certain things. And I enjoy finer things in life and I'm happy to work hard to get them.
Yeah.
And that doesn't define who I am or my happiness, but I do appreciate it. But I also, I probably sit in a struggle of finding the balance between being the most present and loving dad and husband that I possibly can be, but still progress us forward from making sure the kids are fine for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Whether it be schooling.
So Die With Zero, which is a podcast that you listen to, and
yes.
I sent it to you. A really interesting lady I met in the trip said, have you read the book or listened to this podcast? I said, no. And she sent it to me and I went for a walk a couple of days later and listened to it. And for those listening, it's called Die With Zero. The book and the podcast, if you type in Die With Zero, the author is speaking to a podcaster. And essentially what he's saying is we all die with too much. So we get born with time and health, and in time you create wealth. And at some point there, you'll have enough time and you'll be healthy enough and have enough money to really enjoy life. But no one actually stops and says, here's my window.
Yep.
Because you're all going through school and working hard to get ahead. And then you get to a point where you can enjoy it, but not many do. And we all try and create these financial dividends in whatever shape or form that looks like, investments or more time at the desk or more hours, cutting hair or putting makeup or whatever. Sarah Klein, who's just a legend who does the makeup at 7. We're talking on a Friday morning at 10:15. We're doing the game last night. I said, how? She said, I'm too busy. I said, don't be too busy. She said, well, I get paid by the hour. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to, when you're at the back end of your life, be glad you did the extra 1,000 hours of expensive time with your boy. But Die With Zero talks around what we should be doing rather than searching for financial dividends, be creating memory dividends. Yeah. So that's what I tried to do over the last 14 months, because he talks about you still remember your first kiss and you smile. The first time you stood up on water skis at Echuca, first time you sank a long putt or won your first tennis match or kicked your first goal, they still make you smile.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
That's all you can take with you, right?
That's all we've got. And so the memory dividends that were created with Soph and Miller and Indy and Lex this year, I think will be, and whatever that year cost us, whenever I disappear, they get a third of that year less.
Yeah.
And whatever they get left with, $1 or $2 or $10, what does it matter if it wasn't fun and memorable and loving and all of those things? And you're great at spending time with your kids and being present with them. The one thing that you've got to somehow do, all of us, is not lose sight of that's really the only thing that matters, and the rest is sort of superfluous and distraction. Because Soph will say to me, so why are you going to do that dinner tonight? So, well, paying me to do it, which means she goes, we've got enough. We don't need more.
Yeah.
It's like, but it'll help, won't it? It's like, but at what cost?
Yeah.
So if you do another 100 of those dinners before the kids leave school, it's 100 dinners you didn't spend with the kids. Because soon enough, Miller will be living with a guy or a girl and have kids or not, but she won't be living with me.
Yeah.
And Indy will be living with a guy or a girl and have kids and not be living with me. And Lex will be living with a guy or a girl. It's like, where are they now? It's like, what was I doing those dinners for?
Yeah.
What I would give for a dinner now with them. And, come back to Dad, like, how many dinners have I got left with Dad?
Yeah.
Not many.
Very insightful, Haim, and I do appreciate you coming along. I love the theory around what you tell your kids, and to just go into any situation, whether it's in a hotel lift or into the coffee shop, and you ask 3 questions and be curious. Time is something that we never get back, and prioritizing that and creating those memories that then effectively you can take with you. I love the question, what are the things that you love most in life? And then narrowing down to the key priorities and how simple life can truly be. It doesn't matter how much money or fame you have. And I love the fact that you are always someone who is there to make someone else's life better. You're an amazing mentor, friend. I love spending time with you, but I also have loved getting to know your family, who are also incredible. And I can't wait to continue through life creating memories together. So thank you for coming on the show.
Memory dividends. Appreciate it. Feelings mutual, mate.
Thank you.
We're just talking about time. I got this for Koch. The timing of this, everything happens for a reason. So this morning, called the footy last night, Mum rings speaking about something, and somebody sends me this. It's like, Koch will love this, because this is essentially what we've been speaking about. And it was it's literally just a photo. Time. It's the only currency you spend without ever knowing your balance. Use it wisely. So you and I both sit here assuming there's lots of years left.
Yeah. But there might not be.
There's no guarantee either of us make it to dinner tonight. And you say, of course we will. It's like, on what basis do you say that?
Yeah.
So that's a learning from the year. I'm 50 in August. It's the first time.
Good 50.
Well, it's the first time I've realised that, okay, I'm not young. I'm not old, but I'm not young. And I remember Hugh Van Colenberg on a podcast recently said, I looked into the mirror recently and I realised there wasn't a young guy looking back. And I sort of think, right, that's true. And okay, so if I could get to 80, I'm very fortunate. So I've got 30 summers left, 30 winters left. How do you use them? I remember Pat Cunningham, his wife Ange, who was a legend, died of MND. And I might have been 40, say, 41. And she sent me a birthday message. I was just so ignorant. And I said, oh, thanks, Ange. Getting old, feeling old. And she's replied back, what a privilege. It's like, yeah. So it's like, I'm 50, how lucky.
Yeah.
And rather than looking at the next 30 as, it's like, you've got to look at it as what an extraordinary privilege.
Yeah. Before
you disappear and leave everything for others to do. It's like, what am I going to do? That's a bit of a learning from the year. It's like, however many years I've got left. So you text, say, come do the podcast. It's like, will that be good hours? Will that be good fun? Yes. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon I heard speaking the other day. And Ben Affleck said to Matt Damon, you're too nice. He goes, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, you say yes to everything and it just, in the end, pollutes your life. He goes, no, I don't. He goes, yes, you do. He said, did you say yes to that thing in August? He goes, yeah. He goes, would you want to do that tonight? He goes, no. Would you want to do it tomorrow? No.
So why are you doing it?
Why'd you say yes? He goes, but it's down there. It's like, yeah, but what happens is it all banks up. You end up spending your time badly.
Yeah.
I've got to get better at that. It's like, and Billy Slater is a legend of a human, incredible, obviously, on the rugby field. But I was Magic Million season ambassador, and we were out having a surf. Early morning, he said, what are you doing tomorrow? It's like, nothing. He said, see, it's 6 o'clock. Like, done. He and his son, Jakey, ready to go. That's a great relationship he has with his wife and his daughter and his son. I said, you coach in Queensland. You've got the best rugby players in Australia from Queensland underneath you. What's your role? He goes, well, it's not to teach them more skills. Like, they're there because they're freakishly good.
Yeah.
It's just try and find percentages. I said, give me an example. He said, well, I had a chat with them yesterday. He said, guys, whatever you decide it to be, units, minutes, you've got 100 units a day. You're going to spend sort of a third of them sleeping, hopefully. So now you've only got 66 odd units. How are you going to use them? How are you going to spend them best? So, right. And I said, you're going to spend 6 units looking at your phone, Instagram. You're going to spend another 7 units having 2 beers you shouldn't, 4 units on watching a horse race. Like, it's up to you.
Yeah.
But you can spend those units that you have however you want. I was explaining this to the kids the other day. It's like, don't waste any units fighting.
Yeah.
Don't waste any units wanting more. Don't waste any units being jealous. Just spend great units. And it's funny how, so that was a couple of months ago. I've thought about that so much.
Yeah.
Just spend your units wisely. It's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Spend your units wisely.
Or as the photo on the wall, the painting says, do epic shit. That's
You can
good.
do that as well.
Yeah. Spend
We'll
your
do
units
both.
wisely.
Doing epic shit.
Yeah, doing epic. That was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.